Denise Carter balanced trays with one arm wrapped in thick bandages, pushing through the ache that pulsed with every step. Her face shone with the faintest smile, the kind that wasn't joy but survival, a shield she wore against the storm inside. Plates rattled against her hip, mugs of coffee trembling in her good hand. Customers glanced up, some whispering pity, others shaking their heads at the cruelty unfolding right in front of them. Because across the counter, leaning smugly against the register, was Ross, the diner's manager. His voice cut through the morning like a whip. "Pick it up, Denise. You think customers have all day to wait on you? Move faster." The diner air smelled of burnt coffee and sizzling bacon, a scent that clung to the walls. Forks clinked, booths buzzed with conversation, but every so often the noise fell into an uneasy hush whenever Ross barked. At table 3, two women in tailored suits leaned close, voices low but not low enough. "Poor girl. Look at her hand," one whispered. "She shouldn't even be working like this." "Yeah, but Ross. He doesn't care. He's always on her case. I don't know how she takes it." Denise heard them. She heard everything. The pity. The laughter. The sharp digs Ross threw like knives. And though her hands screamed with every movement, she kept going. Because for her, quitting wasn't an option. Rent didn't wait. Bills didn't care. Before we go any further, if this is your first time watching one of our videos, we'd love for you to hit that subscribe button. Your support means the world to us and it helps us bring you even more powerful stories. Stick with us till the very end. And if the story moves you, drop your thoughts in the comments and share it with a friend. Now, let's begin. By mid-morning, Denise's apron was damp with sweat. Her good arm ached from carrying what should have been shared between two hands. She murmured a polite, "Enjoy your meal," to a customer before turning, only to collide straight into Ross. The crash of a water glass shattering across the floor silenced the diner. Ross leaned in, his breath sour with coffee. "Clumsy again? What excuse will it be this time?" Denise's lips trembled. I'm sorry." She reached for a towel with her good hand, but Ross snatched it away, lips curling into a grin only she could see. A grin that said this wasn't about a spill, it was about control. And Denise knew why. Weeks earlier, she had stumbled upon a secret she wasn't meant to hear. After closing, as she cleaned the last table, Ross's voice had carried through the office door. He was bragging about skimming money from the register, week after week. She hadn't meant to listen, but the numbers, the arrogance, it froze her in place. Then the door creaked open, and there he was. His hand shot out, twisting her wrist until something cracked. The pain dropped her to her knees. His words hissed down like poison, "One word about this, and you'll lose more than your job." That was why her hand hung bound. And that was why she carried the blame now. What Denise didn't know was that someone had been watching her. Someone she thought was just another customer tucked away in the corner booth. His name was Harold Whitman. To most, he was just an old veteran who liked black coffee and silence. But in truth, Harold was the diner's hidden owner. He had built businesses his whole life, and one lesson had carried him through: you only see the truth when people think no one important is watching. And from that booth, Harold had seen enough. Denise wasn't clumsy. She was a fighter. And Ross wasn't strict. He was cruel. The more Harold watched, the more the pieces clicked. Ross's sneers. Denise's flinches. The whisper of her bandaged hand whenever she turned too quickly. He had seen this kind of abuse before in other forms, and it never sat right. That night, Harold waited until the crowd had thinned. The air grew heavy as he lingered at his booth. Ross disappeared into the office, the door not quite shut. Harold's sharp ears caught every word. "Another $5,000, easy," Ross bragged, laughter echoing. "And when the numbers don't add up? That waitress takes the fall. She's already drowning in write-ups. Nobody will believe her." Another voice snickered. "And if she talks?" Ross's reply was ice. "She won't. Not with that hand. I broke it good enough." Harold's fists tightened around his mug. His pulse hammered, not with age but with the same fire he once carried in uniform. He slipped out into the cool night air, his decision already made. The time for watching was over. Tomorrow, the truth would come to light. The morning rush returned, but this day was different. Harold walked in, same jacket, same boots, but shoulders squared like steel. He didn't slide quietly into his booth this time. He stood in the center of the diner, tapping his spoon against a coffee cup. "Morning, everyone," he said, voice calm yet carrying weight. "I think it's time you all know who I really am." The chatter died. Forks froze. Denise looked up from the counter, confusion etched across her face. Ross laughed nervously. "What are you doing, old man?" Harold's eyes locked on him. "I own this diner." The silence was thick enough to cut. Gasps rippled across booths. Denise's lips parted in disbelief. Ross's smirk faltered. From under his jacket, Harold pulled a folder. Pages spilled across the counter, financial logs, misconduct reports, every dirty secret Ross thought buried. "I've been watching. I know every false report you filed against Denise. I know every dollar you stole. And I know exactly what you did to her hand." The diner erupted. Customers whispered, eyes wide. "I knew it," one muttered. Ross stammered, pale and shaking. You can't prove any of this." But the bell over the door jingled, and two uniformed officers stepped inside. Harold had called them at dawn. Ross's protests crumbled into stutters as the cuffs clicked around his wrists. The room buzzed with relief as the weight of his arrogance finally lifted. Denise stood frozen, her good hand pressed to her chest. For the first time in months, Ross wasn't looming over her. Harold stepped closer, his voice softer now. "You carried this place when others tried to drag you down. From today forward, you're not just a waitress. You're the new floor supervisor." Her tears fell freely, her bandaged hand trembling against her lips. The diner filled with applause, quiet at first, then growing louder. Denise straightened her shoulders, not as a victim, but as a woman finally seen. Outside, the police car pulled away with Ross shouting in vain. Inside, the air felt lighter. Justice had finally seeped into every corner of that diner. Harold returned to his booth, coffee in hand. This time, though, he smiled. Because truth had spoken louder than cruelty. And because Denise's courage reminded everyone watching that no matter how heavy the burden, strength shines brightest in silence. If you believe stories like this should be told, hit that subscribe button, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and drop a comment below because your voice matters, too.